Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of About Abroad, where it's my job to introduce you to people who have built amazing lives for themselves in various foreign corners of the globe. We're talking with expats and thought leaders about moving abroad, remote work, visas, and all the fun and practical knowledge that you need to know to follow in their footsteps. If you've ever dreamed of making a life for yourself overseas, maybe working remotely or embracing long-term travel, retiring or studying abroad, or even just taking a peek inside life beyond your borders, you've landed in the right place. My guest today is my good friend Marcos, the co-founder of Boundless Life. You may remember him. He's a previous guest here on About Abroad, and I brought him back today because I've been dying to learn a little bit more about what Boundless Life is doing. They've been expanding across Europe, opening up new locations in countries like Italy and Greece, and I wanted to know what was going on because this is one of the programs I'm most excited about, especially for digital nomad families, people who want to keep on traveling, taking their kids with them, and giving them an awesome education along the way. That's exactly what Boundless Life is doing. So brought Marcos back to give us an update, talk about some of these sweet new locations on Greek islands and in Tuscany and all across Europe. And then also talked with him about his van life experience he's transitioning into and what's going on there on a personal level. So lots of fun catching up with Marcos. I really hope you enjoy this one. I certainly did. Please help me in welcoming Marcos to About Abroad. Man, it's really good to have you back. I've been following what's going on at Boundless, and I have some questions, and I'm really interested. So, and also partly, we're now friends, and you were a pretty popular guest the previous time you stopped by About Abroad. So, man, thanks for coming back by, Marcos.
Hey, thank you, Chase. I'm happy. We're getting to reconnect. Yes, absolutely. There's a lot going on, and we try to present as much as we can about the progression of what's happening in Boundless, but catching up with you and being able to tell everything here, it's a great opportunity. So thanks.
Awesome. I heard through the grapevine that you might be going to the van life. Well, I got to ask about that before we get into what's happening at Boundless. Is this true? You going nomad van style on me?
Oh man, partially, right? Because I live the boundless life, but the boundless life could be lived in different ways. And one of my dreams was to have a van, to have a camper van since I'm a little kid. I remember back then in Brazil, there was just like maybe one type of camper van, but every time I would see it on the streets, I would knock on the door and ask, hey, can I come in? Because for me, it was this moving house and this sense of freedom. I had no idea what was driving me towards that. But now I spend most of my time in Europe, and Europe is the ideal place to try that. But it's been a dream of mine for a while in the past 4 or 5 years when working on my personal growth and trying to identify what was the life I really wanted to live, right? We worked a lot on that, and I've done my vision board and setting up my goals and understanding my purpose and all of that, and understand how I would live a fulfilled life and how I could add more value by living this life. And one of the pictures, and I think I put a few of them, was this camper van with a dog. Well, I have 3 dogs now, and surfboards, and just like, having this lifestyle. And that was part of my vision board. Many other things that actually I just realized recently that I had on my vision boards are happening. So, being here in Portugal now and having to travel to Greece soon for a second destination, and then launching a third destination in Italy, I figure, wow, that's the ideal scenario to actually get this van finally. It's a big move. I wanted to go from boundless destination to boundless destination, but I have 3 dogs, and how I'm going to do that? I'm not going to put them in airplanes again. I feel really bad. So everything just got together, and I've been looking to that, and hopefully, but tomorrow I'm getting my van, and then my wife and I would drive for 2 weeks from Sintra here in Portugal to Syros in Greece.
So that's where the second destination's being launched, right? In Syros?
Exactly. Yeah, we have a lot of people there already, and a big part of my team is there. So I just need to go and join them there and discover that magical place a little better.
Oh man, okay. I got a lot of questions about that. That's why I brought you here. But then right before we got on this call, I heard about the van life thing, and so I had to ask about that. And now you've mentioned your vision board, and I have to ask about that because, as you said, a lot of the things things that were on that vision board have been happening for you recently. And I think that's interesting because from the outside looking in, it looks like things are clicking on all cylinders. Life is going good. Boundless is going well. And you guys are popping up new places all over and a lot more to come, it seems. So I would love to know, if you don't mind sharing, what else was on the vision board that's starting to come true.
Was my wife.
I did notice earlier you mentioned the dogs and the van and no wife. And I thought, okay, we won't call you out, but I'm glad. Okay, that's good.
Was my wife, was places that I visited, that I wanted to visit, was just waking up and being able to go surfing. That's something I really wanted to do. And just, having my daily routines where I can actually accomplish things that I really enjoy. I mean, I love Canada and I spent many years there while traveling a lot too, but that was my base, but I couldn't wake up in the morning and go surfing. And now I can. I'm just here and I have some of the best surf spots in the world, just 15 minutes away from my home. It was a house with a beautiful garden for the dogs. And, even though, I live the boundless life, we have amazing properties here. And the goal is not to have a house, is where I want to spend time in. And here in Sintra, I have this, which is one of our properties, by the way. When I'm going to go to Greece, someone else will occupy it. But I have this gorgeous place here with a beautiful garden where I can play with my dogs and let them run. Yeah, it was some, investments that I wanted to do, make sure that I would, learn about certain things in finance and be able to execute on them. I did that as well, and I keep doing that. And it was not only in my vision board, I was just touching my phone and, I never look at them. And I know this is not video recording here, but I have, through screensaver on my phone, one was the view from my house that I wanted to have. And there's a beautiful wave breaking. And I kind of have that right here. I need to drive a little bit more. And then there's also this van with a dog, and it's also on my phone. When I close the phone, I see that. So yeah, but I stopped looking at those things. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves. Let's achieve things and let's get to places and let's, make sure that we doing our morning routines. And I've been there. I've been very obsessed. And then I realized, you know what, just let it be. And I've kind of forgot about it. And now talking to you about it reminded me of it. Yeah.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, I think there's a fine balance there to have. Like there's a lot of value in that. Maybe even subconsciously it was still back there for you. Like, these are the things I want to do. And probably at some point taking that step of intentionality to put them on a board or to add them to your phone, just like left it there that, okay, this is something I really want, because there's a lot of things we want. Like, there's a million things we could do or want to do every day and accomplish every year. And the truth is we don't do 90% of them, but it's very cool to see a lot of the big bullet points there coming together for you.
It takes time, and if you don't obsess about them, but you keep your focus on living the life that you enjoy, I think eventually those things happen. And I just remember something else that was on my vision board. I used to do a lot of voluntary work in schools in Canada because I believe children should be empowered by learning about skills they really need in real life. Entrepreneurship is one of them, in my opinion, but also finance and making sure they're prepared to get into, having healthy relationships. So I did a lot of voluntary work around that. I sat on the board of this organization called Junior Achievement, which is a worldwide organization that goes to schools, teach that. But I had those cards of children that they would write after I do a presentation, how inspiring it was. And then the teachers would send that to me. So I had a few of them on my vision board. And actually what that really represented to me was, okay, how can I keep adding value? How can I work on something or build something that will be empowering children and hopefully making the world a better place in the future through this empowerment? And that's what Boundless is all about. Yesterday was the graduation of a 1-month cohort at our education center here, and seeing what those kids were accomplished, how fulfilled they felt, the connections they created between kids of different ages. And parents talk a lot about that. It's like, you see this 12-year-old taking care of a 2-year-old and mentoring them and supporting them. And that's That was on my vision board, and that definitely is happening.
Oh man, that's incredible. Can you illustrate real quick like what like a graduation looks like in this setting? Like, so of all these families have been there for a month together, bonding, hanging out, learning from each other, exploring, and like what is the graduation a culmination of?
Yes. So Boundless education is based on Boundless is based on cohorts, and our cohorts are usually 3-month cohorts, which enable really, for anybody to be culturally immersed and really discover a new culture before maybe going to another country, another town. Now, the education system followed those 3-month cohorts, and we created this new system where you don't have traditional academic year, right? So kids will execute on projects and learn the core academic in a period of 3 months on average, which are the quests. And those quests are based on UN Sustainability Challenge. So, for example, how to solve the problem of hunger in the world. And they would come up with solutions, and that's how they will also learn the core academics through those solutions. Very project-based, entrepreneurial, very censoring, and it's really about building things more than just learning the core academics. Now, in the summer, it's slightly different. We have a 1-month cohort so people can try, and that's for mostly families that are not location dependent, are not nomads, and they want to see what is that all about, right? So we had this year, July, now we have August. June was a 1-month cohort as well. And our curriculum changed a little bit. We adapted. You have children that spend already the entire year in the traditional system. And so those 1-month cohort are less academic, more, and also leverage the local culture. And it's more of a camp. So we had one that was a lot about art, and this last one was about science. So leveraging the local environment and building science projects. And at the end, they present the project, right? They're still based on the UN Sustainability Challenge. They still have quests. It's just shorter and even more practical. So yesterday was, kind of a science fair. It was really cool to see all those projects and the kids explaining what they've done. And you also see the influence of the local culture on those projects. And then we had, it's about two-hour event. We have some food. We have the teachers presenting videos of what happened. We have all the parents there, cheering for their kids, and the entire community. Actually, it was really beautiful to see.
Oh man, sounds amazing. I mean, I love everything about it, and that's a perfect illustration of what you guys are doing, kind of coming together at the end there. And so the reason that the reason that I wanted to bring you back on the show was because I've been watching, and you guys are now opening up your next location. So for context for people, if you're listening, you should go back and listen to the first time that Marcos was here. There's a episode that we'll link to in the show notes, and he gives us the whole rundown on what Boundless is, and just everything you can learn all the details there. But they had a location in Sintra. They still have that location in Sintra, and now you have expanded to a couple other places. And so that's what I'm here to get the update on, because I've been dying to know. It looks like some beautiful island off the coast of Greece. Is this correct?
Yes, it's in Syros, which is the capital of the Cyclades in Greece. It's not too far from Mykonos, for example, and other more popular islands, but it's not a party island at all, right?
Yeah.
That's not our concept. So we launched that last month. We have, we grow progressively. So we have families there. We had a few families last month. This month, now starting in August, is already fully booked. I believe the cohort starting in September is fully booked already. And, it's just a magical place. Everybody that goes there and then come back to Portugal say, with Sintra was the perfect place for Boundless. And it is, Syros, there's something about this place that it makes it even better. And, parents give a lot of feedbacks to us. They really care about what we are doing. They really want to see us succeed because they want to live this lifestyle. So a lot of my work, it's actually just listening to feedback and then using that to keep improving and launching new destinations. Believe it or not, it's a big challenge. We've done once, and then the second one would be easier. I mean, it's easier in terms of operations, but making sure that you're choosing the right place is a lot of work that goes into that. And it seems like we nailed it with Syros. And, don't want to get too ahead here, but we're also launching Italy in January, Tuscany, and that's going to be another amazing place And we're fortunate because we've been able to respect and follow the concept, because we need to find places that will follow our concept, and those three places definitely do.
We'll be right back to the show after a quick break for a note from our sponsor. This season is brought to you by my good friends over at Insured Nomads. They're the absolute best in the business when it comes to providing health, travel, and medical insurance for nomads, expats, and really just all forms of world travelers. I know insurance is often something that's overlooked when we're fantasizing about traveling the world, but it's absolutely necessity that we address this because often the policy you have in your home country isn't going to cover you while you're abroad. And it's also a requirement, as a lot of people may not realize, to actually buy private travel or expat insurance, as it's called sometimes, to obtain a visa or even enter certain countries. So fortunately, there are companies like Insured Nomads to help us with this. Not only do they have excellent coverage and great prices, but they're also providing a first-class experience with additional perks and best-in-class technology via their app. It's an amazing experience. I can't recommend it enough. Now, this is a company that was built by world travelers for world travelers. So they know what it's like to find yourself in a difficult medical situation abroad, and they want to keep you from having that same bad experience. So the next time you're planning a trip abroad, whether it's for a week or a lifetime, check out Insured Nomads via the link in the show notes. Hey guys, if you're still around and enjoying this episode, then I think you might actually like our once a month newsletter as well. If you'd like to sign up, just open up the show notes of the episode you're currently listening to, scroll down, and look for aboutabroad.com/newsletter. It takes about 30 seconds to sign up. It's a fantastic way to support the show, and I think you'll be pleased with the information that we provide every month as well. Thanks a lot for listening. Hope you enjoy the rest of the episode. Is the concept still that you're taking, you want to retain the character, you want to retain some of the like local feel. You're not coming in and revitalizing and turning these places into like super modern posh apartments and such. You want to retain some of the character of the local vibe, if I recall correctly.
Definitely. It's about culture immersion, right? It's about you living like a local. So
Yeah.
the overall concept is, how can we explore the world and grow together and have more fulfilling lives, support our well-being while doing that? And so we look for places that enable that to happen based on certain principles and values that we really care about. Of course, the ideal place to build a community and be integrated with the local community and give back and support our children's education. And there are if you may have heard about the blue zones, which is actually a trademark concept, but there are many characteristics of places that enable higher longevity, right? They have the higher rates of longevity. And it's usually places, not only where people live longer, but also where they are happier. Your mental health is very important. So how can we find those places that may not be considered blue zones, even though there are blue zones in Greece?
Can you define blue zones for anybody that's not familiar with that, or like paraphrasing definition?
Yes, I mean, again, it's a trademark concept, but it's mostly places where people live longer than average. I know there are in California, Costa Rica, Sardinia, Greece, Japan. So those are smaller towns usually where the lifestyle makes that people live longer. So what is this lifestyle? It's all about connection with family, connection with the community. It's about understanding your life purpose. Is about regular and moderate physical activity. It's about healthy food. Some sort of spirituality. It's not about religion at all. It's just believing something bigger, right? And wanting to genuinely be good and do good. You bring all those things together. That's what they identified was common, in Japan and Costa Rica, which are very different places, but the lifestyle is very similar. So we wanted to make sure that we set up our communities in places where we can live this lifestyle or develop even more, if possible, this lifestyle for people that come from different parts of the world with different cultures and then get there, feel like they are having a very fulfilled life by being in those places. And then you have qualitative and quantitative criteria that are analyzed. Many of them will use a lot of data.
Nice. Qualitative and quantitative going into picking Syros. So why Syros? What jumped out? I imagine you looked at a bunch of different locations, not just within Greece, but there's 1,000 islands out there and a lot of beautiful villages. and lots of countries you could have gone to. So I am fascinated to know why Syros, because I'd never heard of it before until you guys put it on my map. And then I started looking into it, and I get it. Do a quick Google search. You can figure it out for yourself. But what jumped out to you?
Exactly, because it's not a very touristic place, even though it's being discovered more and more, and that's one of the things we look into, right? How can we actually live as locals and not as tourists, right? So quantitative, we analyze about 100 data points, and we put them together. We compare, and we don't need to visit the place to do that, right? We have our all our data piled up, and then we pre-select the ones that we believe that work best. You think about what's needed for a family. You need to have all the necessary amenities. You need to be not too far from an airport. In terms of business-wise, it needs to work all year long. It can be very seasonal. So the temperatures, for example, here is not too hot nor too cold in the winter. It's lively. It's all year long. It's not seasonal. There's always things happening there. There is a strong local community living there that we can be part of. There are, amazing restaurants. There are, multiple ports available, culturally rich. That's very important for us. We want to learn from those places. If you think about Greece, Greece is, the basis of the Western culture comes from Greece. Syros has many stories that have been told since, its settlement, I think 2005 years before crisis, BC. And, the architecture. So you take all of those things in consideration, but a decision is really only taken after our team visits and experience and feel it. And that's the trickiest part. And what happened with Syros is that after, most of our team went, and then the team that is doing the development went, and everybody came back and said, well, that's the place. You feel it as soon as you arrive. You feel the warmth of the people. You feel that you are at home really fast. And the experiences that happen there and families have been telling us, it's exactly what we want to see in every boundless destination.
Perfect. Sounds great. And so you also found this in Italy as well, it sounds like, because I didn't actually know that until you just mentioned it a few minutes ago, but you've just announced you're launching a third location in Italy.
Yes. So again, smaller town, rich culturally, not too far from amenities. Looking to launching a Pistoia in January, which is in the heart Tuscany. Just I think 30 minutes away from some of the major cities in Tuscany, far from the ocean, not too far from mountains. Yeah, so more to come on that. But now it's really about making sure that everybody goes to Syros, have a blast, and feel at home.
Sounds good. I hope I can get down there and join you. I went on my wife and I went on our honeymoon to Greece, and have been dying to go back for years now. And so that might just be the nudge that we need, knowing that we've got a group of friends waiting for us down on a beautiful island. I don't need a whole lot more convincing.
Yes. You're welcome anytime. I'd love to host you there and show you around, and make you participate in this experience with those families and our crew there, and with the locals. It's like what I hear the most about this place is like how warm the locals are. They genuinely care about anybody there. There's a strong sense of community. I can tell the Boundless Life values are extremely aligned with this place in terms of family. The Greek culture in general is very family oriented, but apparently this place, you have kids playing outside in the streets up to 11 p.m. with their parents, and having dinner outside, and our children that don't speak Greek are playing with the other kids, and that happens simultaneously. It's really cool to see.
Oh man, it sounds incredible. Congrats on another successful location launched. I expect the idea is to keep these things going and keep them popping up in different places. So I will be watching and following along. Well, while we've got people listening, where should people go to continue to follow the journey and learn more?
Well, Boundless that life, our website, and then you can find all the social media links in there. Visually, if you go to our Instagram, Boundless Life, you're going to see a lot of what's happening in those different destinations. We have an Instagram for our education system, Boundless Explorers as well. So you see what's happening with the children in our education system and how the education, what the education is all about. LinkedIn, we use a lot of LinkedIn as well to present the progress with the company. We're quite active there and Facebook. So it's all Boundless Life. You can easily find, reach out to us if you be interested in joining one of our communities. If you have any questions, we understand it's an important decision when you take your kids into consideration, and we want to make sure everybody understands very well what we're doing and why we're doing.
Awesome. Before I let you go, we've started a new tradition here on About Abroad since the last time you joined. You didn't know this was coming, but we basically ask a question of the previous guest for the next guest. And so I have a question here that I'm going to read for you. And after the episode, you'll leave a question for the next guest. So if you're up for it, let's hear what you've got.
Yes.
What is the number 2 place on your bucket list that you have to go visit? So not the number 1. You got to list the number 2.
Japan.
All right. Well, I'm curious. What's number 1?
Number 1 is I want to go to the Maldives.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I want to surf there, and my wife want to swim with shark whales. So that I hear a lot about that.
Fair enough. And what is it? I mean, Japan needs no explanation, but I mean, I'm curious. That's a place on my list as well. Like not at the very top, but like one of those places I know I have to get to and spend some time.
I'm very curious about differences. I think the Japanese culture is very different from ours, and I wanted to understand better. Appreciate it. I think Japan proved an amazing place with amazing people, strong culture, but I haven't experienced it. I haven't really felt it. What's that all about? How is that going to be when I'm in this place where people seem to think very differently in many ways, and how I'm going to be able to adapt. I have a little story about that. When I lived in California, I was a teenager, maybe 18 years old, and I was learning English in a language school, and there was a lot of Latins. I'm originally from Brazil, and Europeans, and a lot of Japanese too. But the Japanese were not making progress in learning English, because they would never speak. And we understood after why they would never speak. It's because they would never be able to speak if us Latins yelling, all over the place would not finish our sentence and just be quiet. So that really marked me. And then, we had to make a lot of effort to open room for the Japanese to, learn as well. And I couldn't afford this course anymore. I was a student and I wanted to continue. So I asked if I, could work there and provide some service. So I became responsible to entertain the Japanese community within this language school. So that taught me a lot of things that were very interesting. And it was a pleasure to have this mission. Okay, how can I help the Japanese students to integrate within the Californian culture? And that was my goal back then.
The Brazilian teaching the Japanese how to integrate into Californian culture. Education and internationalness was baked into you at an early age, it seems. It's cool to see all those dots connecting.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And has always been, in me. I just never really understood why, or never really had a clear vision of what I was doing. But now I understand that's what I was made to be and do.
I love it. Find your why and stick to it, and usually things work out in the end. So it's great to watch it unfolding. Marcos, thank you again, man. So good to see you. I'm really happy things are going well. I love following the journey. I believe the audience here does as well. I got a lot of great feedback after the previous episode, so I'm sure people will enjoy this. And go check out boundless.life and go have some fun with the kids in tropical islands and beautiful places around Europe.
Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure, and I hope we have other conversations soon.
Sounds good. See you soon.
See you. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in today from wherever you are in the world. Once again, I'm Chase, and this has been another episode of About Abroad. For those of you wondering how you can best support the show, I have made it super simple for you. Just go over to the show notes of the episode that you just finished listening to and click on one of the two following links. aboutabroad.com/newsletter to get our monthly newsletter, no spam, guaranteed, or ratethispodcast.com/aboutabroad, where you can quickly and easily leave a review for the show. It's not just important to me, it also helps more wanderers just like you find us. Finally, don't forget to subscribe on your podcast platform of choice, and we will see you again next week. Thanks again. Hasta luego, amigos.